Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the Jasmine Ortiz Show. I'm here once again with an enthralling guest whose story we want to dive right into. Today, we are welcoming Giselle to the show. Her Instagram is called Explore with Gigi. So, Giselle is very well known for her travel posts, basically telling her audience where to go, what things to do, what to check out, and giving reviews of different places that she's been. So, welcome to the show, Giselle. Could you please introduce yourself to our audience?
Yeah, so my name is Giselle Chusan. A lot of people know me as Explore with Gigi on social media, so Instagram, TikTok, YouTube. On there, I really specialize on just showing people a world they never knew existed, or even just helping you find out what you want to explore next. So I do a lot of food and travel, and I also
My
kind of dabble
favorites.
into the festival space. Yeah, I've been going to festivals for over 10 years. The EDM scene is like very important to me, so I also try to show that without getting too crazy about it, you know?
Absolutely. So, are you located in Miami or where are you located?
So I'm in South Florida. I
Okay.
grew up in West Palm, but I do a lot of work in Miami, and I kind of just drive a lot from Orlando to Miami, showing videos, and then the travel just takes me all over the world.
That's amazing. When you said EDM, I just immediately thought Ultra. I thought uh, EDC, just all of these great
Yep,
Florida festivals. So, what
yep.
are some of the coolest places that your travels have taken you so far, whether in Florida or internationally?
So I would say in Florida, St. Pete is one of the coolest spots that I've been to. I have
Yes,
never thought
yes.
about going that way until I worked with the tourism board, and I'm like, wait, I actually love this town. Or it's a city, but it's so
It's
cozy and there's
quaint.
so much art.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just so unique.
It feels like a town, like a small town feel, but with a big city package, and that's what I love about it too.
Exactly.
I
Yep.
fell in love with St. Pete for the first time when I went last summer. What are some of your recommendations for St. Pete?
Oh my goodness. I have so many food recommendations. I don't know if you're into sourdough.
I'm
I
into
love
everything,
sourdough.
girl.
Okay, so sourdough, there's this place called Sourdough and Co. It's an all sourdough bakery and cafe. The food is amazing. Right next to it is Cafe or Intermezzo Coffee, and they're known for like really good espresso lattes, and they turn into a cocktail bar in the afternoon.
Oh,
I'll send you a list. There's so many places that you can
please.
go to.
That's incredible. I mean, cafe to like bar at the evening is what Miami's missing. I feel like
It's
we
a
need to
vibe.
bring that
Yeah.
here. That's so great.
Yes.
And internationally, what has been one of the coolest places that your travels have taken you so far?
I would say Egypt. Egypt was the most, so I've been to 28 countries in my 28 years of
Wow.
life, and I'm trying
Oh
to
my
do like
gosh.
one new country every year or even more. But Egypt, I went back in 2019, and it was the most hospitable place I have ever been to. Like, we went during Ramadan, not knowing it was Ramadan, and it was just very magical. You can feel the history, the energy that's there is so unique, and it just really showed me a completely different world that I never knew existed. Because you always see it in history books on the, TV channels, but it's different to be there.
It doesn't feel real until you experience it
Yeah.
yourself.
Yeah.
I kind of felt that way. I traveled to Paraguay for a music festival I was performing in, and that was
Oh,
actually the
cool.
furthest away from home. I was born in New York City. I live in Florida. That was the furthest away from home I'd ever been in my life. I've been to Europe twice, but Paraguay, I mean, that's 12 plus hours of travel south,
Yeah.
and the only time I'd been south of the equator. So it really put into perspective for me, wow, I have barely scratched the surface of places to see on this earth. You think Europe is so far, or when you're younger, you think California is so far from the East Coast.
Yeah.
And then you realize, oh my gosh, like Asia, 12 hours away, the tip of
Yep.
South America, 14 hours away. And it just blows your mind. It's so incredible.
Yeah, and that's honestly why I had this just like fire under me that I wanted to start this page. And that started in high school that I was like, I want to show others the world. The same thing I've been saying. And that was through photography at first because I was very into photography. And then it kind of became video because that's kind of what social media has evolved to. And to your point exactly, like, okay, I never knew that, Japan is so popular, so many people are going, but I didn't know that you could do these things as a tourist and it's so accessible to a certain point. but it's just making it easier for people. I think, reading travel blogs, I'm not a big reader, so that's kind of hard for me. I'm very visual and straight to the point,
Hmm.
and being able to go on a platform and finding all that information is just so helpful.
Yeah, I think social media has transformed the way people travel, not only because of
Yeah.
creators like yourself making it so accessible visually, but also uncovering unique elements of travel
Hmm.
experiences that otherwise people wouldn't know about. There were so many hidden gems that maybe were only locally known, domestically known in various countries, and I've just casually stumbled upon vlogs in Thailand, in Cambodia, in Japan, like you said, all across the world, places that I would have never even thought to check off my list. And
Yeah.
now I'm like, wow, I have to go experience that location. And it also tells you a lot about the history and culture of a place. So when you're
Hmm.
traveling somewhere new, do you do any research beforehand about like the customs or the history? Because that's something I like to do, even if I travel domestically to and within the US.
So when it comes to like planning, I'm a very type A person, but I plan out my itinerary and I feel like, and I want to get better at this. When I get to the destination, that's when I'm like, oh, why is this? Why is that? And that's when I start learning the history. But I feel like doing it beforehand, I'm trying to get better at that because as a creator, like when I'm somewhere, I want to know what I'm looking at. But
Yeah.
also, I mean, the planning, I do everything on TikTok. Like it sounds crazy, but I get all my itinerary ideas off of TikTok.
That's awesome. I mean, that's why it's such a great tool. And that's why what you're doing is
Yeah,
even adding another layer. Because if you were able to pull stuff from social media and now you're compiling all of it into a comprehensive itinerary, now the next person who's even just traveling casually for fun can experience those things as well. I love
exactly.
that. I like to do some research ahead of time sometimes to try and become more culturally aware of like what's going on
Hmm.
in that place, what kind of food and customs they have. Because I think in general in the United States we are so centrally minded of our own culture, our own experiences, and because we're so multicultural within the U.S. I come from a Latino background. So I always grew up like around a lot of cultures, but then when you see something that's so
Hmm.
drastically different, it really opens your eyes. So, what have been some unique cultural experiences that you've gotten to see as you travel?
Well, in Japan, I think just how organized and clean everything is. I know everyone says that, but it is so true. It is so clean, and there's just this
Wow.
order that everyone follows, and it's so nice to see.
I'm
Same thing
envious.
with Egypt. Like Egypt, everyone just like wanted to give us things. Like, thank you for coming to our country. Here's this. Or, here's a little token of our appreciation type of thing. And it was looked at not as give me something back. It was genuinely thank you for being here and experiencing this culture. Food wise, I
Wow.
mean, you can, there's so many different foods around the world that's, to a culture is normal. I'm Ecuadorian and I know guinea pigs are, cuy is a very big thing in Ecuador. I've never
Hmm.
tried it. I've seen it being cooked from afar and I'm like, I can't do that, but
I don't know if I could
I
do
think
it. I don't
yeah.
know.
No, I can't do it. And you can see the little teeth and everything when they serve it. I'm like,
Oh
no.
no. I
Yeah.
mean, in parts of Italy, like northern Italy, they serve horse. I mean, there's a bunch of like unique cuisines
Hmm.
across the world. I feel like I like having an open mind when I travel. One of
Yeah.
my best friends in Miami actually is also Ecuadorian, and he was telling me about that. He brought a friend of ours to Ecuador, and even though my friend who's Ecuadorian had never tried that dish, our other friend did, and my Ecuadorian friend was like, I don't even know. I can't even do it. But I mean, I commend this American dude for being, I guess, like
Yeah.
adventurous to do it. But I think I like to have an open mind, but to an extent. I feel like there is a limit for
Yeah.
every person where it's like, okay,
I
So
agree.
what inspires you to keep innovating in the way you create content?
So innovation is a hurdle that is a little hard. Sometimes I do find myself getting stuck and like thinking, what can I do? And even manifesting like I am more creative so that I can become more creative. I think once you're in like a workflow, you just do, 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 and you're not doing anything different.
Hmm.
So I'm honestly working on that. Like I feel like I don't have good advice on what I do to be able to be more creative and innovate. It's just if I see something and I'm like, this can be done a little bit better, or this can catch someone's eye a little bit better. A really big thing for me is just visually appealing content. So very aesthetic, very clean. That's like my thing. So yeah.
Yeah, how do you avoid the burnout that can sometimes come with constant videoing and social media creation? Because as an artist who focuses on music, I also have to utilize social media as a vessel for my business, right? And I find that sometimes recording every moment of where I'm going somewhere can take away from some of the joy. So I don't know if you feel the same way, but how do you find that work life balance, so to speak, when you're living in a moment and then you know you have to record it for work?
Yeah, so sometimes disconnecting is a little bit hard, and I feel like the people around me, especially when I travel, are used to it now. And since I was in high school, I had a camera in my hand. So I think disconnecting myself has been, I feel like I'm connected either way. Wait, let me start over. I feel like I'm connected even though I have something in my hand, right? I'm still
Yeah.
in the moment, which sounds kind of crazy, but I think I've gotten so used to it that it feels natural to me. But the burnout part of it, surprisingly, I think I haven't burnt out yet. And it's been over 5 years of creating content. I love doing that so much that I genuinely enjoy editing a video, writing a script, and doing all that. So it's fun for me, but I think at a point if I do get burned out, it's just honestly taking a vacation and not being on my phone. Like that's what I'm
Yeah.
gonna have to do, which is so
I
hard.
I think it's showing though that you found a passion that you genuinely enjoy because it shows that all of us have such different skill sets and different passions.
Hmm.
And I think because it was something that is like a vessel for your travels. It's your own personal video diary, but also you're utilizing it to achieve an end of spreading the word to other people, sharing your
Yeah.
experiences, giving them something to look forward to. I think that's why you're able to connect with it so deeply, which I really love. That's awesome.
Yeah, no, like I said, I've been creating since high school and it started with the photography. And that was me editing pictures like every single day. So just editing has become a part of me and I'm so used to it. And again, I enjoy it.
What are some tips you would give to someone who's just entering your field right now of travel content creation?
Consistency is key. That is the main thing. I remember when I first started, I like was reaching out to other creators and was like, how do I get a brand deal? How do I do this? How do I do that? And it was very hard to get an answer. And what I have learned is just being consistent and doing what you love. I think if you're just trying to travel to get free travel, maybe that's not why
Hmm.
it's not going to work. You're going to probably get burnt out because travel creating it's very consuming and it's very tiring.
Yes.
You won't be home sometimes for a month and it's just living
Hmm.
out of a suitcase. So
Hmm.
consistency, doing something that you love, and just becoming very organized, setting goals. I have my Google Calendar is like insane. It has every like what I'm doing, where I'm going, what I'm posting every single day, and that's how I'm able to stay kind of sane, I would say.
Yeah. So actually that's another good point. How do you set up your content calendar? How far in advance do you record, edit, and then schedule? And do you have like an auto poster or do you manually post? Because I know a lot of full-time content creators have some sort of scheduling tool that they use to automatically post.
Yeah, so for Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube Shorts and regular YouTube, I manually post everything. I did have a
Oh my
program called,
gosh.
I know, I know it's
Wow.
crazy. I had a program called Repurpose IO. I still use it. And I was using that so that whenever I posted onto TikTok, it would automatically go onto YouTube Shorts. But I feel like that's kind of messing the views or like how well it performs. So I started posting manually, but I'm still using that for TikTok to Snapchat, like other platforms
Mm.
that I probably just like don't think about.
Hmm.
Um, how far advance do I schedule? So I do a lot of local restaurants and that's scheduled at least a month in advance. Usually I'm scheduling people out in a month. I'm doing 3 to 4 videos in one day. So on the weekends, because I still work a 9 to 5. So I shoot those on the weekends and then I just edit during the week.
Wow, I love that. And I think it's also super inspiring for anyone listening who wants to do something similar, that you're balancing this alongside a 40-hour work week. How has that balance been for you between focusing on your day job and your passion?
So I started my day job almost at the same time that I started TikTok, right? And TikTok was the only platform. And I work remote, so that makes it a lot easier. So, like, I don't have
Yeah.
to drive anywhere, which means I have like an hour to 2 hours that I can edit things where I would typically be in a car. My
Yeah.
lunches are here. I get my work done. So I have a lot of flexibility with that. Also, just again, work life balance and scheduling, very type A. I schedule when I have time to do things.
Yeah. I definitely relate to that. I have to schedule things. If it's not in my calendar, it's not happening. I agree.
Yeah,
I totally get
literally.
it. It's overwhelming to have to balance all these
It
things. And
is.
I also work from home, so I find common ground in that. And then I do the podcast as well. So, between that and being an artist and social media, it can be a lot. So I think it's so
Yep.
important to have that discipline and to really schedule out your days in a way that works for you.
Yeah, I think if, being successful in any field, not missing deadlines and not missing opportunities is very important. And the only way that you are going to be able to achieve that is by knowing what's going on, being
Hmm.
present and scheduling yourself. Because if not, it's
Yeah.
like game over in a way.
Agreed.
Yeah.
So, what do you feel is your greatest skill set?
Ooh, I never really think about that. I feel like one, being organized is a really good skill set. The
Absolutely.
other one, being a perfectionist, it's kind of like good, but not, because I
It's a
can be
double-edged
very
sword, you
hard.
know?
It is, right? Because I could be really hard on myself, or I can be really hard on others because I'm like, this can be better. We can do better. So that's kind of like, you know,
I think
good, but not good.
having standards is good, and I think that's something that you shouldn't compromise on. But I definitely get that because in a job interview, for example, if I'm asked like what is something you struggle with or a weakness, quote unquote, I always say that I'm a perfectionist because I feel like
Yeah.
it is a strength in a way because it drives you to be better. But I think for me, sometimes it feels like a weakness because I second guess what I'm putting out to the point that I'm
Yep.
delaying my own progress or success because I'm not trusting myself. So I think it is about like finding that balance.
It is. Yeah.
What have been some of the proudest moments of your career so far?
There's been a lot, and I'm trying to get better at sitting and realizing those and appreciating them, because I feel like I'm going so fast that I don't even realize that things are going on sometimes. Working with tourism boards, I worked with Peru, which is huge. I'm working with
Wow.
Finland this year, which I'm literally getting chills saying that, it
That's
coming out of my mouth
amazing.
right now.
How do you
Because
get those contacts? Do you just reach out directly? How have you worked with them?
So Peru reached out to me. A lot of the tourism boards
Wow.
and airlines have reached out to me, and then with Finland, I reached out. I like went really heavy into how can I potentially work with them, and it just happened to work out. Also working with Tomorrowland. So I worked with Tomorrowland last year, and that was a crazy moment for me, because that is the number one music festival in the world, and being able to be a part of that was, it's just like crazy.
Yeah. Wow, that is really surreal. How have you gone about doing brand deals and partnerships? Is it similar to the tourism boards that either they reach out to you or you kind of send cold emails, cold DMs?
So I am not really good at like pitching myself. I need to get better
It's
at that,
hard.
but
It's really hard.
it's so hard because I'm like, I don't know what to say, and then I don't have time to pitch myself. I'm like, like I'll eventually get it done. So a lot of it is just incoming. When I first started, though, I did reach out, and I would actually call restaurants, and I'd be like, hey, I have a TikTok. This was 4 years ago, so everyone was like, okay, good for you. But I'm like, I have a
Yeah.
TikTok. I'm gonna come into the restaurant for lunch. If you guys wanna maybe send out some things or cover the lunch, I'll post a video. That's how it started. And then eventually, once I opened up Instagram, which was a year later, it was just a lot of DMs. So I go
Yeah.
through my DMs. I try to schedule out a day during the week where I just read everything, because there's a lot of business opportunities there. So, setting those up, kind of like making sure that I want to do that. And then with brand deals, same things. It took about a year and a half for me to get my first big brand deal, and it was Pizza Hut. And I super
Wow.
lowballed myself. I remember it was so bad. Um,
I mean, you
but
live and you
I,
learn, though. I mean,
yeah,
I get that.
yeah,
Especially with a national brand, it can feel like, okay, well, they've worked with bigger people, or I don't have as much experience. At least like
yeah.
that
Like, who am I?
imposter
Like, you know?
syndrome.
Yeah,
I think it can almost feel easier to get a better or at more accurate number when it's a smaller brand because you're like, okay, we're kind of seeing eye to eye right now. But I think with those national or international chains, it can feel super intimidating. So I just think it's
yeah.
great that you did a partnership with them because that's already such a validating feeling, I think.
Yeah, and that was a year and a half in. And, since then I've worked with Royal Caribbean, which is one of the, I think I would say it's the biggest cruise line in the world, like working with them, being a partner, and then just other big chains that we all know, like McDonald's, all those places. Being able to work with them has been really cool, but that is all coming into my inbox.
Wow. Yeah, I mean,
Hmm.
I think that just goes to show that consistency is key in social
It
media. That's a
is.
lesson for
Yep.
all of us to take from this. What are
Yes.
some of the greatest challenges that you've had to overcome to make it to where you are right now?
I think just trusting myself and
That's a huge
believing
one.
in myself, trusting and believing in myself that this is what I want to do. And even though one of the what huge struggle is like looking at numbers, right? Creating something, and with the amount of followers that I have, I'm like, okay, I should be hitting certain numbers, but when videos don't get the right exposure, like they're not getting the right engagement, I'm like, okay, what did I do wrong? Why isn't it hitting numbers? So that was it's still a challenge, but I kind of just brush that off and I'm like, I can't control that aspect of social media. So let's move on to the next thing. Um, that's honestly been the biggest struggle. I've been very lucky in this space to where I have been able to achieve my goals very seamlessly.
Yeah, that's amazing. I think the numbers are a huge mental health impact on
Yeah,
creators, on artists, on any sort of person that has to deal with that as a metric because record labels nowadays are basically saying to artists, if you don't have a million plus followers on social media, if you don't have hundreds of thousands of listeners monthly, we're not going to even think twice or respond to the email. And the industry has
yeah,
shifted so much in a way that social media is the gatekeeper. The labels are no longer the gatekeeper, but social media and the consumer
yeah.
is because there's so much competition in the open market space within any industry, whether it's travel influencing, music, visual art, any sort of thing. So I think being cognizant of the fact that you can't control the numbers in any way, you're just kind of putting out the
Yeah.
best that you can. You're following the hashtags, following the trends as much as you can, and then just staying consistent because I think consistency
Yeah,
through burnout, consistency through self doubt, or through imposter syndrome is the key to success.
I completely agree. And another thing with social media, I feel like a lot of it is also luck because there
Absolutely.
have been influencers, like pretty big influencers who now have a million, 2 million followers, at least on TikTok, who just post one video, that video blows up, and things just kind of
Snowball.
snowball effect. Like it's insane. And next thing you know, they're at Coachella, they're here, they're there.
I mean,
And
Addison Rae
it
is a great
just,
example of that.
yeah, Addison
I
Rae,
mean,
there's a bunch of Alex Earl, but a lot of these
yeah,
people were consistent with posting, right? They were always
extremely.
posting. It's just one video hit, it hit the right people, and then
Then they build a
again
fan
being
base from
consistent
there.
after that. Yeah.
Absolutely. So, what do you have planned for the rest of your 2025 that we can look out for on your social media?
2025, a lot of music festivals. So we have Dirty
Ooh.
Bird home base collab that they're doing in Orlando for Labor Day weekend. I'll be doing that. 3 Points. Fingers
Okay, three
crossed
points.
Halloween. Yes. EDC Orlando. And then I have a Europe trip. I'm doing Ibiza, Oktoberfest, and Finland. And then I'm going on a
Oh
cruise
my
in a
gosh.
few
Can I like
weeks.
sneak into your suitcase?
Right? I am taking an extra checked bag, so
Oh, perfect. Perfect. Can you please share your social media handles so that we can all follow along with the rest of your journey?
yeah, so it's Explore with Gigi, and that is two G's, Gigi, not Gigi. So Explore with Gigi. Honestly, every social media platform, Instagram,
At
TikTok,
Explore with
YouTube,
Gigi.
yep, Snapchat, Pinterest, literally everything.
Amazing. Thank you so much for your time today,
Thank you
Giselle. It
so
was
much, Jasmine. This was
fantastic
great.
talking to you. And I
Yes.
hope to see you again, whether in person or on your next adventure.
I think it'll for sure be at a festival.
Oh my gosh, yes, maybe 3
Yes.
points. I'll be here.
Yes. Amazing. Well, thank you so much.
Absolutely. Thank you for your time. I hope you have a great rest of the week. Bye.